Good afternoon. Thank you for attending our third annual Canada's Top Women in Cybersecurity celebration. I'm Fawn Annan, CEO of I2WC, Canada's leading publisher serving the tech industry. This is an important event that not only celebrates the success of Canadian cybersecurity trailblazers, but it showcases the way we can work together to empower young girls and women to take professional roles in the digital sector. In this third edition, I'm glad to see that the 100-minute event has grown from strength to strength. During the inaugural event in 2020, the discussions focused on how to improve the participation of women in cybersecurity. Today, we are expanding the conversation to discuss how we can nurture leadership skills, deal more effectively with ransomware, and help find new ways that women can fill the gaping holes in the ever-expanding cybersecurity landscape. The hundreds of thousands of unfilled cybersecurity jobs aren't just a staffing issue. They're a matter of national security and economic prosperity, and women can help us solve the problem. As mother and a grandmother, I understand that engaging the next generation with technology to grow their digital skills is the key to the world's future development. And I am also very aware of how important ensuring the digital world remains a safe, trustworthy, and positive environment for our youth and for all users. It's true, we live in a breathtaking world of new technologies and opportunities, but right now, the ability to leverage the transformational power of those technologies remains beyond the reach of billions living on the wrong side of the digital divide. Worldwide, 3.6 billion people remain totally offline, and hundreds of millions more struggle with slow, expensive, and infrequent connections that are simply not sufficient to change their lives. Of these 3.6 billion, a disproportionate amount are women and girls. As a global average, 52% of women are offline compared with 42% of men. So, as we are battling a digital divide, we are also battling a digital gender divide. Unequal access to ICTs is not new, but this divide has become more challenging in the wake of COVID, as women once again bear the brunt of the social and economic consequences of this crisis. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said the pandemic is dramatically exacerbating existing gender inequalities, and Melinda Gates recently noted that ignoring the impact of COVID-19 on women could ultimately cost the world as much as $5 trillion. What can we do about it? Your attendance today and the impressive number of submissions received for the 2022 honor roll speaks volumes about the Canadian commitment towards promoting greater representation of women in fields such as cybersecurity. Through events like this, we can continue to grow a collaborative professional community of leaders through peer networking opportunities. Working together, we need to ensure that our cyber leaders are confident and competent in guiding our enterprises and people towards a more digital way of life. Besides growing women to take on leadership positions in cybersecurity, we want more women to see the possibilities within this field. Empowering women and girls to play an active role in the digital sector is important because equality of opportunity lies at the very heart of a truly equal society in which everyone can flourish and realize their full potential. Today's speakers may have diverse backgrounds and focus areas, but have all contributed much to the safety of our cyberspace. I hope some of you will be inspired during the event to follow in their footsteps. I hope you'll enjoy the video showcase of our honorees' accomplishments and the panel's discussions. Thank you again to those who submitted nominations, to those attending today in a cheering capacity, to our esteemed panel of judges, and to my co-chair, Bonnie Butlin, co-founder and executive director, Security Partners Forum, and international coordinator for WISERA. This is truly a team effort. And of course, We couldn't do it without our sponsors. Thank you for being part of this. Enjoy the program, and now let's have a few words from Bonnie Butlin.
I'm very pleased once again to chair the Top Women in Cybersecurity Canada, now in its third year, in collaboration with Fawn Annan and IT World Canada on this shared initiative and vision. We are proud to recognize this year's cohort of 20 outstanding women in cybersecurity. You join a growing cohort of women recognized in Canada and internationally who have collectively moved the industry forward and who have individually inspired us in unique ways with your achievements. The Top Women in Cybersecurity Canada initiative is part of a larger global initiative launched in 2019, which has since recognized women in cybersecurity and security in Canada, Latin America, Africa, India, the ASEAN region, and New Zealand. By way of a brief history, in 2015, as a subset of the Security Partners Forum, we created WSECRA, which I serve as the international coordinator for. WSECRA, the Women in Security and Resilience Alliance, is a non-hierarchical network that has grown to more than 60 women in security and resilience participating associations and organizations from around the world. We seek to enhance networking, share best practices, and share professional resources for women in this space. In June 2020, I founded the Canadian Women in Security Forum, specific to Canada, which has quickly grown to nearly 2,600 participants. The Canadian Women in Security Forum was developed to help foster an inclusive networking and forum environment, bringing women together from all interconnected security disciplines across Canada. It advances and empowers women in security and related disciplines through information exchange and collaborative relationships. In 2019, WSECRA was approached to assist in facilitating the 2050 Women in Cyber Europe Awards. A great success, we recognized the need to create a larger global initiative. WSECRA went on to recognize and celebrate women in their achievements in security and resilience by partnering with women in security and resilience groups around the world, working with media partners on the ground with their extensive knowledge and experience on the ground and in the region, and engaging with esteemed judging panels who have been so very generous with their time and expertise despite their very busy schedules. The impacts of the awards have already been felt. This global initiative, including the Top Women in Security Canada, have already made a significant impact. We have heard from some of our top women in Canada and around the world that being named as honorees has raised their professional profiles and advanced their careers, enhanced introductions and networking and business opportunities, enabled talent recruitment and retention for their companies, facilitated connections among honorees in other regions of the world. On a more personal level, being named as honorees has not only inspired others, but encouraged the honorees themselves to keep challenging themselves toward new achievements. In today's world, it is clear that we are more interconnected than ever, but also clear that those interconnections are facing disruptions, some anticipated, many not. This year's theme is sharing our voices in times of disruption. It is more important than ever that we connect and continue to engage with each other to celebrate our successes and together work to meet the many challenges before us toward the best outcomes possible. Congratulations to all of our honorees who are advancing the security industry. Thank you to all of you who have nominated someone this year, and thank you to all of you who are supporting this initiative with us. With that, I will turn it back over to start our celebration.
Thank you, Bonnie. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to IT World Canada's third annual Top Women in Cybersecurity celebration. I'm Joanne Stanley. I have been the Executive Director of Women in Communications and Technology, WCT, since 2013. For those of you who don't know, WCT is Canada's largest national professional association dedicated to the career advancement of women in information, communications, technology, broadcast, and media companies in Canada. In the executive director role, I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing women and I relish the opportunity to have a hand in recognizing some of them this afternoon. This is the third year for this event, and you as the audience have a front row seat as we celebrate 20 amazing women recognized by their peers as the top women in cybersecurity in the country. Our honorees come from both the public and private sector and cross all verticals. Who will be placed in the 2022 Top Women in Cybersecurity Honor Roll? You'll find out in just a few minutes. But first, I want to introduce one of today's sponsors with a quick message for the audience. Hold on to your seats. We have an amazing opportunity today.
Hi, I'm Jody Moore, Regional Sales Director for Central and Eastern Canada from CrowdStrike. At CrowdStrike, we stop breaches from happening with our unified platform approach, and we give comprehensive visibility and protection across your critical areas of risk, being endpoints, workloads, data, and identity. We'd like to thank ITWC for having us as part of this important event, and on behalf of CrowdStrike, let me offer our sincerest congratulations to the 2022 honorees. And now for the good news. Simply by attending this event today, you have automatically been entered into a draw for a $500 gas card, which, considering today's gas prices, might just be enough to get you to the corner store. And also, when someone asks you about the Top Women in Cybersecurity event, you can tell them in all honesty, it provided you with free gas. ITWC will announce the winner on Twitter and contact them within 24 hours. So good luck and enjoy the event today.
Well, now, I wish I could win that. Good luck to everyone in attendance today. I know we could all make use of that gas card. Now I need to take 2 minutes just to make sure that you're getting the best out from today's celebration. While most of the conference action takes place on the screen where I am now, there's a lot to see on the platform. Scroll down and there are downloadable white papers, blogs, case studies, recordings, and newsletters, and events you can sign up for. To the right, or just below me on some devices, you'll see a live chat box. You can chat with other attendees here. Be sure to enter your name and check the terms and conditions box to participate. If you hear something that's interesting to you and you want to share it with a wider external audience, I encourage you to go to Twitter and use hashtag Women in Cybersecurity. None of this would be possible without the support of our sponsors. Auth0, Octa, VMware, TELUS, Terra Nova Security, and CrowdStrike. Special thanks to our supporters, WCT, Wise Sarah, and the Canadian Women in Security Forum. This conference is an opportunity for women to take a long look at the mirror and be proud of what's reflected back, and to help channel their energies toward introducing more women into cybersecurity. Please join me in welcoming Kathy Miley, Vice President of America's Security Sales of VMware, to introduce the first 7 honorees.
Thank you, Joanne. VMware is proud to help recognize the achievements of the top women in cybersecurity. Our company benefits by having women as important members of our cybersecurity team. With the threat landscape continuing to expand, we're going to need the best minds to fill the emerging jobs in cybersecurity that may not even exist today. The first 7 women we're going to hear about all have built their careers in different ways, but all are 100% aligned with their commitment to helping colleagues grow their careers. Looking at the 7, the talent is really over the top. One is a pioneer in bringing cybersecurity to the financial sector. One is the founder and CEO of an organization focused on advancement of Black women in cybersecurity. A third is a mentor who shares her skills in incident response. And a fourth sits on 2 national working groups that focus on training and incident management. In this first video, you'll also meet a privacy and security lawyer, a cyber coach who takes her resilience messaging directly to the boardroom, and a trailblazer who has led her cybersecurity company to be recognized as one of Canada's top employers, all while achieving a 50-50 gender balance. Let's hear from these inspirational women in their own words. Remember, you can share this and other videos from the conference with any young women who might be considering a future in technology.
As the Director of Cybersecurity for TELUS, Kim leads the National Cybersecurity Consulting and Professional Services practice, which has over 50-plus security professionals delivering advisory services across all domains of cybersecurity. Kim also leads TELUS's Cybersecurity Forum, which assembles senior executives to share views and expertise on pertinent topics. Looking over the past year, Kim explains what she sees as the most notable aspects.
For me, when I look back at last year, I really see the cybersecurity industry having to come together and share information and really work together to try and sort of arm the good guys, so to speak. The last 2 years, in fact, have really increased how quickly things had to move to being digitally accessible in the cloud, remote work, having people being able to collaborate and share where they might have done it in person in the past, all of which is great for enabling work, but also creates a new threat landscape that you have to very quickly secure.
She is well known for her strong coaching mentality and her ability to lead highly engaged teams. Kim empowers other professionals, especially women in cybersecurity, with her extensive knowledge and expertise.
In a field like cybersecurity that has been predominantly male-dominated, to change that understanding from you have to be a really technical, scientific computer person, lots of great women out there doing that, but there are other ways that women can get into this field and contribute as or more as the people that are highly technical. So that's part of why I really believe in sharing your journey, sharing your knowledge, and really mentoring people to understand where they might have a passion for cybersecurity that they don't know how to unleash, or they don't know how to identify that path.
We're happy to congratulate Kim Schrader for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. From the financial sector comes Maggie Kaie, Vice President of Information Security and Consulting with Dash Security and Risk. Maggie has been in the information security community for over 2 decades, implementing and leading security and risk programs for global banks and insurance companies, and holding several key information security roles, such as Director, Associate Vice President, and Senior Manager, where she was able to mark and establish a tone at the top in the management and oversight of cybersecurity programs. During her long career, Maggie established the first board-approved cybersecurity policy at a financial institution at a time when these documents were not typically approved at the board level. She also established a top-notch cybersecurity awareness program at 2 financial institutions with industry performance benchmarks and metrics. But with such an illustrious career, you can't help but wonder what she considers to be her most precious moments.
I think there is actually many different proudest moments, and the ones that I cherish the most are when I see people that I have mentored and that I have brought into information security kind of flourish and just go into the career, and I'm always kind of keeping in touch with them to understand where they are in their career. Seeing these folks in the industry and professionals grow in their careers is quite fulfilling for me, and it just gives me some satisfaction that I'm making some contribution to the industry in a small way that actually makes a difference.
Congratulations to Maggie Kaie for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Our next nominee is an expert at dealing with extortion events, including communication with threat actors, acquisition of decryption tools, and post-incident mitigation and remediation. Her name is J.C. Roth, Associate Managing Director of the Cyber Risk Division of Kroll. So far, she has conducted and supervised over 600 incident response cases, including ransomware, business email compromise, employee misconduct, spoliation, and supply chain attacks. Her work on large-scope, high-impact cybersecurity compromises makes her take on the past year's cybersecurity landscape especially interesting.
And I used to tell clients that we're dealing with amateur attackers, and really that was the case. We weren't dealing with very sophisticated attacks, and we weren't really seeing that much sophistication to the attacks that we were dealing with. But come 2021, we really saw that shift and change. And what I mean by that is the groups became bigger, and they became more like organizations that we were really dealing with. They had names like Conti, which a lot of people are probably familiar with. We started seeing things like supply chain attacks that were devastating to organizations and businesses around the world. And really, it created a problem for these organizations and businesses, because when we're talking about 0 days, when we're talking about supply chain attacks, these are things that are really out of your control as an organization. And it makes it very difficult to protect about things that you don't know about, nor does the industry know about. And really then does it become important to have strategies that are all about defense in depth and having multiple layers to your security in order to best protect yourself.
Congratulations to JC Roth for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Ransomware, hacks, and security breaches can often overshadow other equally important areas of cybersecurity, of which Megan Megardichian is an expert. As the Senior Program Manager in the Data and Trust Office at TELUS, Megan has a profound understanding of why data privacy and data ethics are so important.
What you don't have cannot be hacked. So if you don't have data that you no longer need sitting around, if you have proper data retention schedules and you're abiding by them, enforcing them, passing it down to, let's say, your service providers, there is nothing to be hacked in that sense. So you keep data for as long as you need, and then you properly, securely dispose it. And that's the sort of the basics of it. And then you have the reactive piece of, what to do once something has happened. You've got the legal implications, the procedures that you have to follow, but you can do a lot of prevention if you have the basic understanding of privacy and, basic data hygiene.
As a privacy advocate and lawyer called to the bar in Ontario, New York, and the District of Columbia, Megan advises on privacy and data ethics. Prior to TELUS, she was a data privacy lawyer at Inc. Data Law and compliance counsel at Volkswagen Canada. But with all these accomplishments, what does she describe as her proudest moment?
I would say it would be a few weeks ago when I spoke at the International Association of Privacy Professionals Canada Symposium. So I gave a talk about privacy in the cloud, and I was able to sort of demonstrate how interconnected privacy and security are in cloud environments. And we think cloud is secure, but it's not, when we talk about cybersecurity, it's not really about security of the cloud, it's security in the cloud, how you are provisioning your environments, how systems are connected.
Congratulations to Megan Megardichian for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Like the pandemic, cybersecurity presented some formidable challenges over the past year, for which Raphael Gorio, Information Security Manager at Cynet University of Toronto, is particularly familiar. But her advice to companies on how to improve their cybersecurity is pretty straightforward.
So I would say it's still the basics. Many companies do not necessarily cover their basics, and very basic things to do would be, I would say, patching. And just ensure that you patch on a timely manner and focus on a risk approach, meaning that you would first cover your highly critical assets and the assets that are exposed on the internet first.
Raphael has shown that she is a fearless leader with more than a decade of experience in cybersecurity, both in Canada and France. As an IT security analyst with Hydro-Quebec, her team had oversight of massive and critical cybersecurity infrastructure. As senior information security analyst with Borden Ladner Gervais, she reduced high-risk vulnerabilities by 65% within a year and fostered the promotion of future information security analysts. With all this experience, Raphael has some keen insights on what to expect in the cybersecurity landscape over the next few years.
not the next year, but the next few years, and companies will need to get ready for that and review the type of algorithm that they are using to encrypt their data and make sure that these are resistant to quantum computing.
As you can see, Raphael is a force for innovation and a true inspiration among her colleagues. Congratulations to Raphael Gorio for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Enza Alexander believes cybersecurity is more than just a job, it's a calling. And under her leadership as Executive Vice President of ISA Cybersecurity, the company was named one of Canada's top small and medium employers for 2022. On top of that, they achieved a 50-50 gender balance across the company. She believes that protecting sensitive personal data through security awareness education, preventing a potentially devastating cyber breach, or helping customers navigate their way out of a ransomware attack are of primary importance because these activities have real implications on people's lives. She finds it hugely rewarding to help defend businesses from cyber attack while blocking criminals who seek to profit from fraud and extortion.
I think cyber is a sharing game. And so what I mean by that is our collaboration, our ability to look at threat vectors, not just across sectors or industries that are related, that understand what some of the cyber criminals are up to. But I also think it's important as societies and communities, as our children go online within the educational environments that they are accustomed to. I believe our children can be one of our most significant assets. How in this new transformation of a digital age are we protecting our most critical assets, including the people we interact with? It's something that we should all be considering. Let's share in the threats and the vulnerabilities that we face each and every day and protect ourselves from cybercrime.
We couldn't agree more. Congratulations, Enza Alexander, on being selected as one of this year's Canadian top women in cybersecurity. The past year has brought so many rapid-fire changes in the cybersecurity landscape that some might say it is best described as predictably unpredictable. Octavia Howell, Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer for Equifax Canada, would certainly agree.
I truly believe that there are no new attack surfaces. However, we have seen a resurface of more exploits, more vulnerabilities. The Log4j hit us like a truck across, the biggest, 0 day that we've seen in the last 10 years. And so we know things are going to happen because I believe everything works in cycles. But at the same time, it is something that you are preparing for, but you don't feel like you're really ready until it actually happens.
But Octavia, who prides herself on understanding, solving problems, and discovering secure solutions for her business partners, says there are ways that organizations can maintain a high level of security.
We have to make sure that cybersecurity is a culture and security is something that is embedded. It is the awareness of every single individual that deals with every piece of data. We have to have that security mindset, and it has to be a culture that everyone's in it to win it together, and that security is not just for the security team.
Octavia believes that a security leader should mentor, motivate, trust, and lead their teams to act with integrity and openness, which really isn't surprising, given that her specialties include networks, cybersecurity, and building operationally excellent, motivated, cross-functional, multicultural teams. Congratulations to Octavia Howell on being selected as one of this year's Canadian top women in cybersecurity.
Aren't those women awesome? They are exactly the role models we need to showcase if we're going to continue the progress we've made toward more equitable representation. Speaking of role models, our first panel, sponsored by Auth0 and Octa, is full of them. We've gathered today some of the top Canadian cybersecurity leaders for Fireside Chat, aspiring and thriving, how women are moving the needle. The discussion will be led by Alvina Antar, CIO at Octa. Joining Alvina are Dr. Mitra Mirhassani, co-director, Shield Automotive Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, and Being He, Vancouver Airport Authority. Take it away, Alvina, and let's hear how we can all help support one another most effectively.
Hi, everyone. I'm honored to be here as we celebrate Canada's leading women in cybersecurity. It would be easy to start this chat by reeling off a series of stats that show how underrepresented women are in technology and even more so in cybersecurity. But we all know that. It would equally be easy to talk about how our education system hasn't supported young girls in STEM enough to the point that they've never even considered a career in tech, much less one in cybersecurity. But we know that too. As a woman who's been blessed with a thriving career in tech and believes in leading by example, I am thrilled to lead this discussion today. With Mitra and Being, we'll chat about the progress we've made, the importance of measuring what matters most, and being intentional in driving change. So let's kick things off. There's lots of challenges that we need to face together, but as you hear from the women joining the honor roll today, optimism is the theme of the day. So Mitra, Being, I am so happy to be joined with you today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here.
So on this topic, just talking about optimism, are you optimistic about the role of women in cybersecurity and why? Mitra?
So I am optimistic, but at the same time, I can see the challenges that are ahead. The status quo still is ruling the boards and the governance of the most of the companies. So we still have a long way to go. But maybe we have been starting to be, or just to pave the way for the next generation of women to find their way into the higher positions, the administrative, or have their own companies and so on.
I'm quite optimistic, but as Mitra said, there are a lot of challenge there. But I feel that there are so many opportunity nowadays for different roles in cybersecurity. I'm actually wanted to share a story of one of my friends. She actually is close to retirement age. She decided to take on a new role in cybersecurity to provide a cybersecurity awareness training. She has been in IT industry for many years. She took on different roles. It could be policy, standard, process, procedure, IT operation, whatever you name it, but not really hands-on technical or anything close to cybersecurity. So I think she's really bold to take this step. And then the organization is very supportive for what she's pursuing and provided her the proper training. So she took the cybersecurity awareness professional course, and she studied so hard for 4 months. She actually got certified.
Thank you for sharing that inspiring story, Being. We need more of these stories to really showcase and lead by example. There was a time we know that when women never even considered a career in cybersecurity because they'd never seen a woman in the field. And look at you all now. Could you share a little bit about how you decided to pursue this field, Being?
I actually started from ERP system implementation. Look, I was actually the admin, to do the configuration on the access perspective. And then I joined an IAM company, which is really focusing on IAM domain only. And then it drives me to IT, advisory, IT security control and all that stuff. And then gradually grow into the whole cybersecurity program, like focusing more on, cybersecurity governance, risk management, strategy planning, process procedure, and now IT security operations as well. So it's very natural, and I'm always very curious to learn more. So I think that's quite interesting. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Mitra, I admire your profession. And as a professor at the University of Windsor. If you could please share how you pursued, all that you've accomplished.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually a hardware circuit designer, so I'm
Wow.
for PhD and for my master's undergraduate, I always did design circuits at micro and nanometer dimensions. And that's been my field ever since I started my master's. I've been continuously following that. I'm still interested in that. I still have that as a back project, but over the years, dealing with the hardware, we kind of realized that there are so many checkpoints in the design of the hardware that is going unnoticed or even unappreciated. And then with a very small funding that was coming from the federal government to our university, that I got it. I was on cybersecurity, and I thought, let me just try my hand in this thing and see if we can basically bring in or enforce the idea that how hardware or how important and integral hardware design is to the security of the whole system. Ever since 2013, I find myself being more and more attracted to the field of cybersecurity, embedded and IoT versions. And I'm finding a lot of exciting new things to learn and explore.
It's exciting to be in our fields, especially now more than ever. How do you tap into your networks to build your career and to support women around you that are coming into the field? If you could please, Mitra, if you could start.
Sure. Well, being at the university, of course, is making me or gives me the ability to reach out to a large number of students every semester, actually. But one of the most useful networks that I've been using is Automotive Cybersecurity Research Group, ASRG. And by incorporating their activities now, or bringing their activities now, expanding it into Canada, has helped a lot of my students to be able to talk with like-minded individuals and experts. LinkedIn and other networks as well, just try following the news and trying to attending the conferences and usual venues for that have been my go-to points of creating network and connections.
I think I started at the beginning is to join the ISACA Vancouver chapter to volunteer on the board as a director and also as volunteer. So it's really an amazing community to connect with the local talents and learn from each other here. And there are also other associations like ISC Square or B-Sides, Security and Privacy Summit, different kind of event regarding cybersecurity. And again, there's also like industry community. So like us is in aviation industry. So we also connect with our peer, like from, airlines or other airports. So it's a great connection there. And internally with our organization, we also have a women leadership circle that could also provide mentorship and support to women leaders. So those are my general connections. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, for me, I'm proud to be a sponsor at our Octa women's organization. We actually just started a technology women at Octa as well, as we continue to inspire and mentor and sponsor the women in technology at Octa. I'm actually also part of a group that I founded for in Silicon Valley. It's a CIO women's group. And so we've come together and built a trusted, meaningful relationship where we support each other, and we also lift other individuals within our organizations to be able to pursue their career aspirations. So I want to ask you, Mitra, many of the open positions we need to fill in 10 years are roles we can't even think about today, right? I mean, and especially you in your field, and how fast the Internet of Things is changing technology. How should we be preparing for this in the change in technology and the change in cybersecurity overall?
Well, we actually need when we are thinking about the cyber, as you mentioned, we have to always have a very long-term view of what is coming. For example, a few years ago, quantum computing wasn't on anyone's radar, and now we are, other than the people that are working with NIST and developing the algorithms and encryptions, most of us were kind of feeling, oh, okay, it's coming, but it's not going to happen. Now we have a clock that is ticking and officially launched this summer, indicating that the first cyber attack from a quantum computer would be in almost 3 years, and it's supported by many of the experts in the field. So I just my recommendations is that open up your mind and be open to possibilities. If we just contain ourselves within the limits that we know, we will be definitely we will be vulnerable to these attacks and to cybersecurity vulnerabilities.
I'm curious, just even where you're at Vancouver Airport Authority. I mean, how things have evolved just through the experience that we've had through COVID. If you could please share with us the evolution and then what you anticipate.
Yeah, I actually agree with Mitra on that aspect. You need to be open-minded. You need to be curious, and just keep learning as technology advances, right? But when there is something we don't know, we can always learn, right? Learning capability, I think, is the key in strengthening the core and also adapt to the new changes. Like COVID, as human being, we are so adaptive. We learned so much during these past 3 years, and we just keep learning to adapt what we needed. Just embrace the change.
Some believe cybersecurity has an image problem, right? And so I'm just curious about what your thoughts are around the misconceptions of cyber.
I think, from my opinion, it's about security awareness training and also the cultural change in an organization. Or, like, not everybody, like general user, they may not really know what cybersecurity is, right? In cybersecurity, we also require different, skill sets. We also need strategy planning. We also need governance. We also need salespeople. We also need compliance people, consulting, security audit, you name it. We really need to be creative and also innovative in the way we are doing things, and also helping people to understand like their roles as well. When people understand it, they would have a better image of what cybersecurity really is.
100% agree with being, but also another thing is that when talking to the young people, they are usually are asking me what certificate or what training or what do I need to be able to enter to the field of cybersecurity. And my answer is that you may not need those certificates and those expensive, entryways to the field. There are many different ways of getting into the field. Look at me. I by no means were thinking I'm a cybersecurity, in the field of cybersecurity. I was always looked and thought of myself as a circuit designer. You might be able to just do self-learning or find your way in a way into the field. In my opinion, that expenses at the beginning of this field could be a barrier for a lot of young people who are just starting their career. They look at those price tags and think, okay, all is gone. I have to forget about this field. But that might not be the case.
You all are both examples of the diversity of the industries and the positions of cyber. How do we remarket that? If you all could share. Being, how about you starting?
So I think most importantly is be a role model of what you do today, right? Like, you help people understand what you do, how you fit into the overall picture of cybersecurity, and what skill sets are required. Help them understand first. And I think a good thing about this is you can also do job shadowing. Each year we have a job shadowing for the grade 10 students. So those younger generation, they comes in, and then cybersecurity is one of them to understand what we do. I think that's a very good start to image us from, a younger generation.
I love that. It's a better way to really understand and dig deep into a role is allowing you to shadow. Mitra, what about you?
So at the university, we usually do outreach programs to high school students, and we kind of offer different, in order to try to grab them into the STEM field. And we try to bring examples of what type of jobs is awaiting them, what type of, qualifications they need to get there. And I think that we have to keep doing what we're doing by creating these type of events, by talking more, creating more podcasts, and speaking about our own personal experiences. We might be able to succeed in turning this, field into the diverse and the active field that it is, as a way of, attracting students in.
And I love how both of you mentioned high school. The earlier we can really attract the talent, the diverse talent, the better, right? And really being able to showcase the opportunities that exist. I really wanted to end in terms of our chat, which I've so enjoyed. Really wanting to get you to share one thing about being a woman in cybersecurity that you wish someone had told you earlier in your career?
Well, I think I was also under the same misconception that cybersecurity is a boring field that, you have to sit in a basement and code. There are a lot of things in it that is attractive to me. And I just wish I knew that before.
I wish people would tell me is like cybersecurity actually is a very trusted community. I'm really surprised. People are so open and transparent about their experience and their knowledge. So whenever you have questions about anything like in the community, people are so eager or willingly to share whatever they know about it, right? And to be support of each other. And you won't get less support because you're a woman. I think that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
And I'm inspired from hearing your stories, both of you being in Mitra, and I hope that individuals reach out to you and you're able to continue to inspire the next generation to pursue cyber. And so thank you both. And now I just would like to wrap up and go back to the conference to learn more about the 2022 honorees for Canada's Top Women in Cybersecurity. A huge congrats for all.
Thanks, panel. There were some great life lessons there. Don't forget, everything you hear today will be available on the IT World Canada network of publications and on demand on this platform for on-demand viewing. I hope you are sharing some of these insights on Twitter using hashtag Women in Cybersecurity. It's now my pleasure to introduce the next round of honorees. The role women play in cybersecurity cannot be overstated. It's critical to showcase their success, not only to inspire the next generation of professionals, but to acknowledge the individuals themselves for their dedication and innovation. Our second round of honorees include a teacher, podcaster, and ethical hacker who co-founded a cybersecurity network for women interested in growing their careers, an in-demand speaker who co-founded the first Canadian affiliate of an international women in cybersecurity organization, an industry veteran with public, private, and not-for-profit cyber experience who now serves as the VP of Customer Success with a fast-growing startup, a virtual privacy officer serving multiple companies, a cybersecurity leader for Canada's military, a senior threat intelligence researcher, and the CISO for Canada's largest venture capital firm. I'm anxious to learn more about these women in their own words. Roll the video, please.
A 25-year veteran in the field, Karen Namane is the founder and Chief Information Security Officer of CyberSafe Security. She is also president of the Ontario affiliate of Women in Cybersecurity. She has excelled and has led her teams to recognition. She even earned a prestigious GTEC nomination for excellence. Karen has also been a speaker at many conferences and events, and she is passionate about creating community and safe spaces for women.
With respect to safe spaces, for me, that means creating conversation and space for women to, as I said, share their experiences. I'm a mentor, and I've been part of a mentorship program for the last 2 years through Oasis. It's a 12-month program, and I've met some absolutely amazing women. And collectively, I find that there's a lot of women who lack confidence. And it's not a safe feeling to not be confident. And that is something that needs to shift.
She continues to be an example for women in the cybersecurity profession and exemplifies inclusivity and diversity in her teams. What's more, Karen holds many different certifications and has plied her expertise across many cybersecurity domains. Here's what she has to say about the past year.
I would say it's absolutely transformative and a growth year. Organizations have seen the impact of breaches over the last couple of years throughout the pandemic, and they really pivoted to taking cybersecurity more seriously, and I'm seeing a plethora of job opportunities out there.
Karen is a talented and passionate cybersecurity professional who has mentored and championed women, created community, and pushed boundaries in the profession. We're delighted to congratulate Karen Namane for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Our next honoree has a passion for fostering individual expression and positive growth in others. Sharon Bauer fulfilled this passion by founding Bamboo Data Consulting. She believes that privacy and security have many dimensions, which is why Bamboo is comprised of experts in privacy, security, data governance, IT, and technology. Sharon's vantage point on the industry is a unique one, and her thoughts on how organizations can improve their cybersecurity definitely reflects this.
What we're seeing is a lot of silos, and what we're starting to see is the necessity of them collaborating with each other in order to create a very successful, efficient privacy program, finding a way, a common ground of communicating between the different groups, creating a common language and a common goal. And once you have that accountability, that governance, everything else falls into place.
Sharon frequently sits on panels. She's featured on podcasts and in university courses, and she presents at conferences. And because of her own circuitous career journey, it's understandable why her main focus is about empowering others.
I was a litigator for 10 years, and something just didn't sit right with me, and I felt like I wasn't being my true authentic self. I moved out of law and I joined a large corporation where once again I felt that I needed to conform to a particular culture. But when I started Bamboo, we as a team have created just the most incredible environment where we get to be ourselves and therefore get to do the best kind of work.
Congratulations to Sharon Bauer for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. A graduate of McGill with a computer science degree, Christina Balam is currently a staff threat intelligence researcher at Lookout. So far, she has been instrumental in resolving important cyber threats, most notably an adware threat at a leading mobile internet company. She has also reverse-engineered security threats and tied these to nation-states and corporate bad actors. Needless to say, she has a keen understanding of where companies should focus their efforts to ensure the highest level of cybersecurity.
I think as a society, we've sort of started to understand how at risk we are through our mobile devices to things like espionage activity, surveillance activity, But I think there is still a gap in understanding, especially with a number of corporate employees who are using their mobile devices to access corporate infrastructure or corporate assets. And these devices, even though they could be personal and personally monitored, they are still at risk for things like targeted espionage activity, especially in the case of larger organizations or if somebody is a particularly high-level employee. And so I think education is really important. It's important to tell employees that this is an attack vector. And even though you think you may not be targeted, you might be surprised by the types of employees that may become targets of these kinds of espionage activities.
Christina speaks regularly at conferences on cybersecurity topics and the important contributions that women have made and can further make in this field and in tech in general. Congratulations to Christina Balam for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Sarah Anvari has a leg in two different sectors. She is Chief Information Security Officer at the Business Development Bank of Canada, BDC, the country's largest venture capital firm. There, she oversees technology-related risks, including cyber and information security. At the same time, Sarah is an active warrant officer in the Reserve Force of the Canadian Armed Forces. She recently received the prestigious Captain Nicola Goddard Award of 2022 in recognition of her contribution to Canada's national defence.
For those not familiar with her, she was the first Canadian soldier to die in a combat role. She served in Afghanistan, among other places, and was an armored officer. And the award was created in her honor to recognize young Canadian leadership in the defense and security spaces, particularly female leadership. And so it was a huge honor to be awarded that recognition from the Conference of Defense Associations this year.
Cyber attacks are a real threat to Canada, but Sarah has a very impressive security record and offers up a few lessons that she feels private sector cybersecurity can glean from national defense.
As a cyber practitioner, there are things that I've tried to incorporate into our team, into our ways of working that I think, are things that the military is very good at. So, the first thing that we have as our North Star for our team is people first, mission always. And I think appreciating also that it's not a zero-sum game. Cybersecurity, like the rest of the defense and security space, is really a place where the more that we're able to lift up other organizations, the safer everybody becomes.
We're delighted to congratulate Sarah Anvari for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Kathleen Legier is the Senior Information Systems Cybersecurity Specialist for Irving Shipbuilding. She has spent more than 11 years in cybersecurity, supporting the Royal Canadian Navy and the Royal Canadian Air Force Defence Systems. As the lead on these programs, she was responsible for the design, configuration, and integration of both Department of National Defence enterprise infrastructure and military essential systems of combat helicopters and naval systems for military assets in Atlantic Canada. These systems provided crew with vital mission capabilities and control. In the course of her exciting career, she has had many memorable accomplishments, but one incident stands out.
There was an incident that happened throughout my career where other companies were breached and they were taken down. These other sister companies were not located in Canada, they were throughout the globe. And prior to this breach, I had basically blown my manager's budget because when I was hired, I noticed there was a lot of vulnerabilities in the system, a lot of old gear, a lot of things happening. So I had actually rebuilt the entire infrastructure. And a month later, when all these breaches happened, our system, even though it was outside of the other countries, was the only system in all of the countries that was not breached.
She researched and implemented a regular cybersecurity training and testing program. And with the full support of elected officials, this mandatory program has been in use for the past 8 years. Incredibly, Kathleen achieved all this without any formal certification or cybersecurity training.
I just think a real positive attitude is really what it takes to succeed in cybersecurity. While I'm a senior level cybersecurity engineer, I find that you do gain that respect, but you've really got to put in that hard work.
Congratulations to Kathleen Legier for being selected as one of the 2022 Top Women in Cybersecurity. As Vice President of Customer Success at Carbide, Catherine Isaac works with high-growth companies to embed security and privacy into the very DNA of their organization. A certified information systems security professional, she has dedicated her career to helping organizations adopt security practices, implement innovative solutions to protect against risks, and demonstrate compliance for long-term success. But interestingly enough, her advice to companies on how to improve their overall security is grounded in a more organic approach.
I think it's from a governance perspective, establishing a culture of security within the organization, keeping cybersecurity top of mind for every employee in every single role, and making sure the staff recognize that security is everyone's responsibility.
Catherine is an accomplished cybersecurity leader. As a security practitioner at the Regional Municipality of York, Catherine was instrumental in executing the complete digital transformation of paper and manual processes at the York Region Health Department. During her tenure at the Herjavec Group, Catherine led the services team in delivering security solutions to enterprise-level organizations to augment their existing security teams and solutions. She is also a proud and active executive member of the Black Professional Technology Network.
Organizations like BBTN are great for BIPOC women because they demonstrate that we exist, we are here, we are skilled, we're ready to work, we have great integration within organizations already, we are creating other opportunities for more BIPOC women, and we are open and welcome to learn and to grow together.
Given all this, it's not surprising that Catherine was recently named to the board of directors of the Canadian cybersecurity community. We want to offer our heartfelt congratulations to Catherine Isaac for being selected as one of the 2022 Top Women in Cybersecurity. Helen Oakley embodies what it means to welcome all people into cybersecurity, and with such an impressive resume, she's perfectly suited to do it. As Senior Product Security Architect at SAP, she contributes to the company's cross-product architecture and works as part of their cyber and defense team. In this role, she defines application and operation security controls, standards, and frameworks. For Helen, cyber is more than a job. In fact, she lives by her slogan, "Cybersecurity is a lifestyle. Learn it, live it, share it."
That slogan, it felt so natural because that's how I live. I don't believe that cybersecurity is 9-to-5 job or however you work. Right now it's very flexible, right? But what I mean is it goes beyond, and it's the education in cybersecurity doesn't stop at your colleagues. It doesn't stop in professional industry area. Whenever I have a chance, I educate the cybersecurity aspects to my family and friends, and other areas when it makes sense to do so. So for me, learn it, live it, share it. It means I've learned something in cybersecurity. I live those principles. I follow them. Share your knowledge. Don't hoard it. This is how we grow, because as a community, we can solve these problems as a collective mindset of diverse mindsets. We can solve the problem of cybersecurity. So learn it, live it, and share it. That's my slogan.
Our heartfelt congratulations go to Helen Oakley for being selected as one of the 2022 Top Women in Cybersecurity.
Wow, those were great stories. They only scratched the surface of each individual's accomplishments, but taken together, they show what a huge contribution women are making across the industry. I also want to point out another group of women who have made a stellar contribution to the industry and to this event, the judges. They looked over 70 nominations and had the difficult task of selecting the top 20. Let's have a virtual round of applause for Victoria Granova, Natalie Stakhanova, Po T. Duncan, and Christine Whitecross. And a special thanks to judging co-chairs Fawn Annan and Bonnie Butland. Now, on to a fireside chat sponsored by TELUS, focusing on a topic that every InfoSec leader is thinking about, ransomware. No organization is immune to the evolving threat of ransomware, but it often shows up differently in different countries. In this fireside chat, Lita Ouellette, General Manager of Cybersecurity for TELUS, will chat with Octavia Howell, Chief Information Security Officer of Equifax Canada Company, and Maggie Kaie, VP Information Security Consulting with Dash Security and Risk, about their Canadian experiences. Take it away, Lita.
Thanks for joining us today. As the title of our chat suggests, we're going to be discussing ransomware in Canada. TELUS surveyed over 450 Canadian organizations about their experiences with ransomware. The study uncovered a number of interesting insights, and I'd like to share a couple of key findings to get our conversation started. Incidents are more commonplace and damaging than you may think. 67% of organizations surveyed reported some form of ransom incident in their organization in the last year. That could have been very small, one malicious email hitting one endpoint and being mitigated, or a major incident. 63% report experiencing a multiple extortion attack, meaning their systems were not only breached, but also data was exfiltrated and held for ransom. Paying the ransom is no guarantee you'll be made whole. The study found that for those who chose to pay, less than half, only 42%, had their access completely restored. The study also found the value of vulnerability management programs is undeniable. 63% of organizations with a vulnerability management program in place did not fall victim to a successful cyber attack. Despite how effective they are at helping proactively protect organizations, only about 50% of respondents actually reported having one in place. I'd like to turn it now to our panelists for their take on the ransomware threat and their reaction to some of the study insights. Starting with you, Maggie, the data highlights how common ransomware incidents are in Canada. Have you seen an increased awareness of the threat within Canadian organizations? Has there been a push to be more proactive?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. Yes, absolutely. I have seen a huge increase in awareness of the ransomware threat in many organizations, including not just within the security teams, but also teams across the organization, such as the business, C-suite level executives, and the board of directors. Also, I have seen an increase in the number of activities that are conducted in organizations, such as breach seminars, workshops, tabletop exercises, simulation games, operations-based exercises, and even full-scale exercises that go beyond the organization to test the procedures and the incident response with external organizations that we interact with. As well, I have seen a lot of increase in the understanding of everyone's roles and responsibilities.
Thanks, Maggie. Octavia, what are you seeing in your organization or in organizations that you're working with around ransomware? Is there a bit more understanding of it and proactive items being taken that Maggie mentioned? Are you seeing the same thing?
Absolutely, I am. And thank you, Lita, for the question. So yes, there's an increase in awareness, not just awareness, but preparedness. We've kind of partnered with a lot of our customers to actually do more collaborative studies to really understand exactly what they're doing. Our third-party team and our risk team is actually taking a broader look at how our supply chain is actually vulnerable to ransomware. And so I think holistically, right, it's not just about what we're doing as a company, but really how every step that we actually, our entire cycle, the supply chain cycle, where we fit, where our customers all the way down to our vendors, and how all of that can actually impact our day-to-day business.
Quick question, to pay the ransom or not pay the ransom, it's a pretty loaded question and not one that, there's a right or wrong necessarily to, but what are some of the factors that, and I'll open it to either of you, want to jump in.
Now, some would say that it's not a good practice to pay ransomware. Unfortunately, based on the results of a risk assessment, you can come to the conclusion of what your organization can do or not do, because the risk assessment can reflect whether the organizational security controls are weak, if there is no proper air gap backup data for the organization, if there is no cyber insurance, then very likely the risk assessment is going to point out to writing a policy that states the organization has to pay ransomware. There is no other choice, but that's all something that needs to be predefined and tested prior to an actual event.
What do you think, Octavia? Anything to add on that?
I think it's important for us to actually know where our vulnerabilities are, where our gaps are, and actually be able to understand exactly where we have opportunities for improvement and put money there. And really, I would say, instead of being prepared to pay a ransom or not to pay a ransom, I believe we need to be prepared to make sure that we have a proper defenses in place so that we can make sure that we are in proper oversight in place to ensure that we don't get ransomed anyway.
With the traditional security perimeter sort of disappearing and many organizations moving to cloud and kind of pursuing their digital transformation journey, some of them really accelerated because of the pandemic, their threat surface is obviously growing exponentially. What are the biggest risks that organizations should be concerned about? Octavia, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I would say business email compromise, you're still in the ransomware, and you still actually have to look at any of your IAM controls and your API security. I think those are the biggest risks. Some people just pull all of that, especially IAM APIs, they pull it into cloud security, but I like to break it up because cloud security can be too broad. And so I think our threat surface and what we really need to look at is really understanding all of our end-to-end control, like our IAM controls, understand our encryptions, understand how we're actually utilizing certificate-based authentication. And if we still want to do that in the keys, make sure those keys aren't sequential so that we can actually ensure that we're actually covered. It's no longer IP addresses. So now we have to look a little bit deeper. And for some of us, that means that we have to actually go back and study a little bit more to be able to understand what some of the coders understand and look at from a security perspective.
Absolutely. Maggie, what do you think some of the biggest risks are that organizations should be concerned about?
Nowadays, I think I have a kind of a different mentality when it comes to securing the organization. In this day and age where all of our organizations are interconnected with external supply chains and third parties, there is the risk of concentration risk, right? And we've seen how some outages in some organizations, without naming names, can impact even 911 services. And it's because we're all working within an ecosystem that's all fully interconnected. And we really require now to have regulations that step up to safeguard the entire ecosystem. As a member of an organization or a leader in security in an organization, we can't be narrow focused and just focusing in our organization. We need to go beyond our organizations because simply we can't put our organizations within a bubble and disconnect from the rest of external third parties and so on. Security now is about securing entire ecosystems, not just organizations in silo.
You mentioned regulation. That's a great segue into the next question I was going to ask. Recently, the government of Canada introduced a bill, C-26, introducing new mandatory breach reporting requirements in Canada for certain types of vital services and vital systems. What are your thoughts on this approach, pros and cons? Octavia, do you want to start?
My idea on the way that Bill 26 is written is that I think it's well intended, but maybe the outcome can take a little bit massaging. The outcome really should be collaboration and ensuring that we're preventing additional breaches or other customers or other companies from being able from falling to the same fate. Share out information so that we know proactively how we can actually protect our infrastructure, protect our customers, protect our data, in opposed to just holding it or just doing it from a, now I'm going to put more sanctions or I'm going to actually fine you or it's going to be harder for you to do business, right? How can we get to a point where we are helping each other and really acting as one industry, in opposed to the only reason I'm going to report this is because I'm required to based on regulations, and now I'm going to get my hands slapped and it's going to be hard for me to do work.
Yep. Excellent points. Maggie, top up?
So I think it's a step in the right direction. And then ultimately the last key point in the regulation for C26 is really complying to the cybersecurity directions that the organization has set. So these are kind of table stakes to me, and I'm kind of in support of such thing, perhaps just because of the fact that I already work within such regulated environments, such as banks and insurance. It's not something new, but I guess perhaps some of the lingo that's being used in the regulation is kind of getting people a little bit nervous about how prescriptive they're being, rather than being more of a principle-based approach.
Excellent points from both of you. Last question for today, and this is just a quick one. There is no silver bullet when it comes to preventing ransomware. If you could invest in only one control or solution, what would it be and why? Octavia, only one.
If it was one, I probably would say human security awareness.
Oh, good answer. Nice. That's not the one I was expecting. Great. Why that
That's
one?
That's the only one I can really say that it's foolproof, right? And because we can put every control that we want in place. We can be 100% on all of our controls, pass every audit, every regulation. We have all of our policies in place. It takes one person who breaks policies, one person who bypasses your security controls to be able to open up an entire company up to and make it vulnerable. It's like they skip a step, right? Or they don't want to look closer at something because it's too much for them, or they don't want to lock their computer. Something simple that can actually cause a big issue within our ecosystem. So I would say humans.
Great answer. Yeah, and sometimes it's not that the person doesn't want to or is worried about locking up, but the process they're working on doesn't, kind of lends itself to either opening an email, opening attachments. So that's a really great answer. Maggie, what would be your one?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with there isn't a single silver bullet, unfortunately.
No, there isn't.
But yeah, if I had to pick one basic control that organizations should have, because of the points that Octavia mentioned about, the human factor and people being part of it and being the ones that could break a control or try to bypass a control, I think the one that I would pick as a basic control is endpoint detection and response, because, it alerts you when people are trying to break things. And so I would say that's one of the basic ones, but not a silver bullet, a magic bullet, whatever we're calling it.
There isn't one. Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions for you today. We could easily spend more time talking about ransomware. I know we have a packed schedule to get to, so I want to thank to the panelists for their time and their insights during today's chat. I'd also like to let people know, if you're interested in the TELUS Canadian Ransomware Study, visit telus.com/ransomware study to download your free copy today. With that, let's turn it back to the conference and learn more about our 2022 honorees. Thank you.
Thanks, Lita and panel. Some of those statistics would make great conversation starters at meetings when you're trying to impress upon your colleagues the consequences of clicking the wrong link. Don't forget, you can download the report on the platform below me. There's been some great conversation in the chat, but now we're really going to put you to work. We're going to have a live quiz. It's written and sponsored by Terranova. Please join me in welcoming Terra Nova's CEO, Lise Lapointe, to present today's quiz.
Hello, my name is Lise Lapointe. I'm CEO at Terra Nova Security. I'm pleased to attend this event alongside other women in cybersecurity. Back in 2020, I had the privilege of being recognized as one of Canada's top 20 women in cybersecurity by IT World Canada. It is important to acknowledge women who own and operate thriving businesses. The cybersecurity space is more diverse than it's ever been before, but we have to continue because we are still less than a quarter, 24% of the industry's total workforce. Therefore, this type of event is essential to celebrate the work done by all women, but also to encourage young women to join the industry. It is possible today for women to gain access to higher level positions like everyone else. Each of our individual accomplishments create opportunities for future female leaders and entrepreneurs. I am also humbled to introduce Terra Nova Security as a sponsor of today's quiz. We aim to build a security awareness culture within every organization by training the human side of cybersecurity. Are you security aware? The goal of successful security awareness training programs goes beyond compliance or deploying courses in phishing simulation. It encompasses creating a security-aware organizational culture where end users are active members to protect the organization's information. Is your organization on the right path to building a winning culture from the ground up, using engagement content, gamification, and other elements to boost participation and recognition? Let's find out.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anastasia Zmiklis. I'm the CMO at Terra Nova Security, and I'm really happy to be here today. Sorry about the technical difficulties. So now that we have some context around the quiz, I hope that you're all ready to start. A little bit about how it works before we start with the questions. So the questions will appear on the right-hand side of the screen, or if you're using your mobile device, the questions will appear below the window where you see me. And if you're in full screen mode, well, you won't be able to see the questions. So please take yourself off full screen and play along. So it'll be fun. And in case you haven't already entered your name and accepted the terms on the chat box, please do that right now so that you can play along as well. So we'll see the results live, and it'll be great fun because you'll be able to compare yourselves to your colleagues and everyone else that's watching today. So let's get started with question number 1. Question number 1. What percentage of employees believe that cybersecurity, that the cybersecurity department is responsible for making sure that their work environment is secure? So your options are A, 23%, B, 8%, C, 49%, or D, 72%. We'll give it a second. I'll let you guys answer, and then we'll talk about the right response. All right. So the right answer is C, 49%. The 49% comes from the 2021 Gartner Employee User Experience Survey, where 49% of employees or actually everyone was asked this question, and 49% of employees said that they believe that their cybersecurity department is responsible for making their work environment secure. But if we look at the fact that about 95% of all breaches are a direct result of employee negligence or just mistake, human error, then obviously it's important that we are all responsible and take a role in cybersecurity to make our work environment more secure. All right, let's move to question number 2. Number 2, why is it important to instill a security-aware culture? Do you think it's A, to reduce risk and minimize incidents? Is it B, to save time and money and boost productivity? Or is it C, to ensure compliance? Or maybe it's D, all of the above? All right. The answer for question number 2 is actually D, all of the above. And this comes to us, a little bit of context or guidance comes from our very own CISO at Terra Nova Security, where he says, we believe at Terra Nova Security that all of these elements are important in order to help us instill a security-aware organizational culture. And although a successful security awareness training program may help us with compliance, successful programs go beyond compliance. And this requires all end users to be active members and to help protect our organization's confidential information. All right, let's move on to question number 3. How can we spot a security-aware cultural shift? A, your security awareness training program influences employee energy level. B, your course completion rates decrease steadily over time. C, your internal training evangelizations grows stronger alongside increased participation. And D, best practices adoption is stagnating. Things like VPN usage, MFA to secure accounts, access permissions, and even reporting. Okay, so the answer to this one, how do we spot a security-aware cultural shift, is actually C. So a security-aware cultural shift is seen when your security awareness training program influences employee motivation and not energy level. That would be hard to measure. Your course completion rates should be increasing over time instead of decreasing. And best practice adoption is obviously on the rise instead of stagnating. So that was a fun one. Question number 4. What are the benefits of a phishing simulation? A, one of the benefits would be to measure the degrees of corporate and employee happiness. B, the benefit would be to eliminate all cyber threats within the organization. C, phishing simulations would increase user alertness to marketing emails. Or D, they would instill a cybersecurity culture and create cybersecurity heroes or cyber heroes. So the answer to this one is D. The top benefits of a phishing simulation are they measure the degree of corporate and employee vulnerability instead of happiness. That would be difficult. Phishing simulations eliminate the cyber threat risk level, not that they don't eliminate all cyber threats. And they do increase your user alertness to phishing risks, but not marketing emails. Thank you so much for participating in our quiz. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And if you would like some more information and tips and tricks around security awareness training and how to build a security aware culture, please visit our website at terranovasecurity.com. Thanks so much. Back to you, Joanne.
At a time when work from home and skill shortages are turning the workplace on its head, we wanted to get some experts together to share their thoughts on recruiting and retaining cybersecurity talent. Our next panel will discuss recruitment, retention, and advancement. Leading the discussion is Kathy Miley, Vice President of America's Security Sales with Carbon Black. Kathy is a recognized cybersecurity leader, writer, and evangelist with more than 30 years of experience in IT. She is the co-author of the Security and Leadership Handbook, a step-by-step guide to building your security operations. She'll be helping surface best practices with Catherine Isaac, Vice President of Customer Success at information security and privacy management firm Carbide, and Rashmi Hasham, Director of Development and Accelerated Cybersecurity Training Programs at Toronto Metropolitan University. Kathy, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. So I'm excited to be here. Great to meet you, Catherine. Great to meet you, Rashmi. So happy to be on the panel with you. So the numbers vary from study to study, but one analyst is warning that there's going to be about 3.5 million vacant cybersecurity jobs by the end of 2024. That means effectively that global cybersecurity workforce has to grow by about 145% just to meet the shortage. That's crazy talk, right? So I suspect that COVID pandemic has further added to a lot of people's urgency, with much of the people moving their business online in the face of the rolling lockdowns worldwide. And we also know that COVID has unleashed a torrent of online fraud and malware, specifically targeting the people in general because of the virus, and taking advantage of opportunities as such. And worst of all, and I know I've experienced this, I'm sure you guys have, that millions of children have been thrown into online schooling situations unexpectedly for the first time, without any adequate supervision, without any adequate understanding of how to manage such an environment or have controls in place, et cetera. There's been a lot of issues with that. But as companies work to scale up their cyber workforce to manage these ever evolving challenges, they're facing some major hurdles. So they say you should never waste a crisis. So we'll take that amidst this upheaval and tragedy. Is there any way that we can use the pandemic as an opportunity to change the way we're doing things, such as closing up the inclusion gap? And in the cybersecurity domain, we're far short there as compared to other industry. And if there's anything that the COVID pandemic has taught us, it's that we need to do better when we connect with each other. We've brought together this panel today that has a lot of thought about closing that inclusion gap and how to attract and retain women in the field. As we've heard earlier, it's not just good policy, it's good business. And it's estimated that the number of female professionals working in cybersecurity were equal to that of men. The economic size of the cybersecurity industry could increase by over $30 billion in the U.S. alone. That just gives you really a monetized view of how disparate the gap is between women and men in the cybersecurity workforce. So, Catherine, let's start with some level setting. To solve a problem, you need to be able to define the problem early and clearly. Do we really know where the gaps are? Do we understand the skill sets that women need to be equipped with to find meaningful employment across cybersecurity and across the different sectors such as water, energy, manufacturing, or government?
Yeah, I don't know that we actually do know where the gaps are. I think, there's a lot of articles out there about the skills gaps, and everybody's got a different take. Lots of people have opinions on why it's there. And so I think there's lots of different reasons why there's a gap. So when it comes to how we can begin to close those gaps, I think especially in cybersecurity, we need to also look outside of the technical aspects. And I think this is where women fill a big role, a great role from an administrative perspective. You mentioned sectors like energy and water and manufacturing and government. There's a lot of industry knowledge that comes along with those. And for women, bringing that industry knowledge into the area can help, because each of those industries will have regulations, they'll have frameworks, they'll have things that apply specifically to them. And that non-technical understanding is a great opportunity for women to thrive.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make, because I know I did a study a number of years ago about what's keeping women out of the cybersecurity industry, and despite it being very heavy male, it's very heavy technical, and they have this fear that you have to come in being with 10 years of experience in coding and developing, and it scares people away from the industry. So, Rashmi, who's missing from this discussion? Are the schools fully engaged? It's the government. Who do we need to get involved?
Thank you for this question, because it's so important to the way that we set up our accelerated cybersecurity training program. We did a scan and we took a look at, first of all, who is missing from the cybersecurity profession. And the first thing we did notice that women are underrepresented. New Canadians are underrepresented highly, because they come in with all these great technical skills that they have gained in their home country of origin, and they can't move into opportunities here in Canada. And we also looked at individuals who've been recently displaced or lost their employment in the last 12 months, specifically due to the pandemic. So we partnered up as academia, we brought in the government, and we said, this is a national crisis. We need support. Then we went and found partners from RBC, Rogers Communications, City of Brampton. We said, let's collaborate to address this issue of the cyber talent gap by bringing individuals in who are underrepresented, marginalized, and we need to lower the threshold, right? We need to bring opportunities. So we need to lower the barriers of economics, creating programming that is affordable, making sure that programming is not daunting as a 2 to 4 year program to pivot into a new career. So accelerate the training, as well as accelerate the time to employment. It's a national imperative. You spoke about, what does this gap look like? That is our national security. And if we don't have enough individuals on the defense side, on the policy side, on the regulation side, it's a vulnerability to our schools, our communities, our governments, and our economy.
That's amazing. And Catherine, from the perspective of the people who want to enter into the industries, is there more that can be done, like to provide a more attractive view of the industry, such as benefits or support for women who want to have a family?
You hit on two very important topics there in terms of people who want to have a family, women who want to have a family. Personally, my own personal experience is I made a career change because of a mat leave. Here in Canada, we get up to 12 or 18 months, depending on what the situation is. And that wasn't possible for me. Again, personal decision, but because of I was in a technical role and I had to make a choice. Things change so quickly in the industry that we're in that taking a year off work, it's almost impossible to come back. So when it comes to programs for women who want to have families, I think there's a lot that can be done, especially with things like the Rogers programs that are there, where we need to think about, back to work programs for women who have families. Like, what can you do? Here's what's changed. Here's, some kind of an accelerated learning program just to cover the gaps in the last year, 18 months, etc., so we can help women stay in the workforce, especially in fields like cybersecurity, so that they don't feel like they've got to make a choice, career or family. We should not have to make that choice in 2022. Then when it comes to the salary problem, like as I mentioned, there was an interesting article I read about last week when it came to cybersecurity jobs, and that the gap is wide because of the increasing salaries in cybersecurity. And what is coming out of that, or what's being seen, there's a bit of a catch-22 for women, where you have some companies who are thinking, well, we can spend less if we hire a woman into this role. So we create opportunities for women by paying them less. That's not what we asked for. That's not what we want. So we definitely want to see that gap close as well. We want the opportunities and we want salary equity at the same time.
Rashmi, getting young women interested in the first place, right? So we talked about our challenges and the way the world must operate in today's state of awareness. Code Like a Girl and Girls Guides, introduction of the cyber badge are a couple of examples of efforts that the industry has introduced to young girls. What are good examples of programs and organizations that are engaged in help present cyber as an attractive career?
All of these organizations have done such a commendable job in bringing cybersecurity opportunities to young girls. But cybersecurity as a profession is relatively young, right? It's only been the last 10 years, truly 10 years, that we're hearing it as its own professional track. And parents don't understand that cybersecurity is a great profession. And what does it mean? For a lot of parents who aren't exposed to tech or exposed to what cyber professionals do, it's hard to be able to guide and coach your young girl into choosing that pathway. So we have to look at the ways that we bring cyber and cyber training to the girls so they can actually see it as being something, hey, I want to do that. I like cryptography. I like this idea of programming and being able to decode something, right? Like, we need to bring more of that. And I like what Hacker Gals is doing, the Girl Guides of Canada. I'm so excited to let all of you know that we're launching Cyber Start Canada in September, first day of school, September 6th. And it's in a partnership with Public Safety Canada through the Government of Canada, where we're bringing girls an opportunity to play this incredible game called Cyber Start. And it's all to bring ideas of cybersecurity to the forefront. We want the teachers to embrace it. We want the teachers to create clubs. We want the girls to be able to find a way where it's collaborative, because cybersecurity is a collaborative profession. And that's something that we need to bring out there, because girls enjoy working in areas that are collaborative. It's a creative profession. We want them to bring their creativity and problem solving together through these opportunities that we're creating. And I think we have to educate the teachers, because our biggest influencers in the careers that we choose are often our teachers at a formative age. So let's bring the teachers in. Let's give them a platform so the teachers can also learn, and to be able to highlight that cyber is a viable profession. And let's get those girls moving and thinking of using the skills that they already have and naturally are engaged in.
Catherine, back to you for a second. Where's the low-hanging fruit for some quick victories, would you say?
I think the low-hanging fruit for us is really, like you said, marketing, promoting what really is under that umbrella of cybersecurity, and acknowledging or helping people to acknowledge that there's a place for me in there somewhere. You hit on, someone who's in English, like we need technical writers. There's a whole governance section under cybersecurity where you need people who can write and interpret things in a common language so that every staff member within an organization understands their responsibility when it comes to cybersecurity. And these things are really, I shouldn't say easy, but achievable. There's also skills training in terms of those people who do want to get brushed up on their skills. There's tons of content that, again, help people get started in understanding the scope of cybersecurity and how they can apply that. And so there's some things that we can do today to just kind of promote and advertise what we're looking for when it comes to cybersecurity, what kinds of aptitudes are good for the roles that are in cybersecurity. And it doesn't take a whole lot of effort for us to get that going.
What you were just saying, if we market these resources out there and help people understand them better, we've got, it's going to take us a little bit closer. But we've heard from a lot of amazing women on that were named to the list today. And one of you can jump into this, but how can those top women in the field serve as role models?
Well, I see it that opportunities like this, right? The three of us, you have to see it to know that you can be it and do it. And I think more of the girls need to see us out front. So creating opportunities for all of the women who've been named to the list, congratulations to all of them. And for us to be in the schools, we need to find pathways that bring professional women in cyber into the schools to do guest speaking, to be able to offer mentorship, host a game night, or host an event, do a lunch and learn talk. I know it sounds like a lot of work to go and reach out, but everybody can reach out to just one school, to one guidance counselor, and offer yourself as even if it's once that you do it, you don't know who's sitting in that audience and whose life you're going to change.
Especially over the last couple of years, been enjoying the mentoring coaching thing. And that it comes as a surprise to me, because that's not something pre-pandemic I would have said I wanted to do. And so I think that we can definitely, again, all the winners today, share our own experiences with people one-on-one. Doesn't have to be in person, doesn't have to be ongoing relationships. Just one-time chats really seems to be making a difference for some people. Like Rashmi said, we're really motivational women. We're actually helping other people. And so just sharing in that way in, a quick chat, I think is something that we should all be doing.
Catherine, Rashmi, thank you so much for your advice, your comments, your feedback, and your contributions to the cybersecurity industry. So it's really clear that these unfilled cybersecurity jobs aren't just a staffing issue. They're a matter of national security, as you said, Rashmi, and women can help us solve this quickly. So back to the rest of the conference. Everybody enjoy the rest of your learning.
Thank you, Kathy and panel. There was a lot of information to take in there. So don't forget, if you weren't able to capture all your notes, you can come back and rewatch all our panels tomorrow on demand. Are you ready for our final group of honorees? Please join me in welcoming Madalina Paul, Director, Enterprise Sales from Octa, to introduce the last of our 2022 Top Women in Cybersecurity honorees. Take it away, Madalina.
We've heard some interesting statistics today and heard some incredible stories from newcomers and women who are approaching the twilight of their career. If we heard one unifying theme, it's that we can and we must create our own success. No one is just going to hand us the opportunities. We make them for ourselves, and more importantly, we make them for each other. I hope some of the stories and the discussions you heard today have provided you with new tools to grow your own career and to help others surmount obstacles they would undoubtedly encounter. Stay positive. You are the author of your own story. The final video includes stories from a veteran private sector cyber champion and a half marathon runner who always leads with love, a pioneer in the emerging field of automotive security, an LGBTQ+ champion who knows how to grow a security consulting business and mentors cybersecurity leaders of two of Canada's top banks, and finally, a social media and security enthusiast who provides small businesses with the real-time information they need to protect themselves in our digital world. Please play the final video of the afternoon showcasing the last, but certainly not the least, of our Canadian top women in cybersecurity. Let's see the video.
Amanda Vicinonzo is a 15-year veteran in the industry and has worked on some of the largest network and security projects in North America. As the Director of Implementation for Blue Voyant in Toronto, she has led her team to become the #1 security partner for Microsoft Canada, as well as leading the country in Microsoft Sentinel implementations. Well adept at public and private partnering, she consistently uses her extensive experience to ensure exceptional customer satisfaction. Here's Amanda's suggestion for what businesses can do right now to improve their cybersecurity posture.
Most companies and most businesses are very good at assessing their internal risks, but the risk through their supply chains, through their vendors, sometimes they don't have that view into that. And I think that is a critical piece where everybody, businesses do need to start focusing on their supply chain and ensure that they are working with vendors that are as secure as perhaps themselves.
Amanda is a favorite among her team. In fact, she received 22 nominations for this award. Her colleagues say that she is an incredibly positive and encouraging mentor to many younger women in the cyberspace, and that she makes the industry seem more approachable, fun, and exciting for young female IT entrants.
One of my passions really is bringing women into the field of cybersecurity. I believe that women belong at all tables where decisions are made, and cybersecurity is such an important industry, and we need to have women who are game changers in this industry.
Congratulations to Amanda Vicinonzo for being selected as one of the 2022 Top Women in Cybersecurity. Dr. Ikjot Saini is the co-director of Shield Automotive Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, as well as assistant professor at the School of Computer Science at the University of Windsor. Over the past few years, she's been getting quite a bit of attention for her work. She was the winner of the Cyber Women of the Year Award, one of the Cyber Mobility Award winners in 2020, and the inaugural WeTech Alliance Women in Tech of the Year Award winner in 2019. Ikjot has also been featured in the 2020 Canadians to Watch by Auto News Canada. If this weren't enough, she also teaches a module for the cybersecurity certification in continuing education at the University of Windsor. And her advice for how to improve security posture?
Start investing in terms of not just investing in terms of the technology, as well as investing in terms of the skills development.
Ikjot, along with a computer science faculty member, founded the first Canadian student chapter of Women in Cybersecurity. It was the first student chapter in Canada and has now grown into a well-subscribed organization with almost 300 members. Notably, Ikjot is one of the few women working and leading in the automotive security space, and she has a few words of advice for women who wish to have their voices heard.
The easiest way to understand automotive security in terms of coming from computer science background is that see that it as a software-defined cars, which makes it much more easier to not look at it as the mechanical parts of the cars, rather than writing the infotainment systems and all the software stacks and technology and building them from scratch today as the industry is doing. They need more security people themselves. So it's not just the security people need to get into it. Actually, it's vice versa. Automotive industry needs security personnel.
Congratulations to Dr. Ikjot Saini for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Tammy Nyman is the Executive Vice President of MBC Managed IT Services. Impressively, she has been instrumental in leading MBC to become one of the earliest security-first MSPs in Canada. She is a true security expert whose advocacy for small business cybersecurity cannot be underestimated. So, what's the one simple recommendation she'd make to companies to help improve their security posture?
Do not reuse the same password. That being said, we need to understand, cybersecurity is such a bigger beast, and it's really a multi-layer approach, right? So while that one little thing is very helpful, when you're in this industry, you're just constantly, it's like peeling an onion.
Tammy has a passion for modernization, security, and operational excellence, and this has helped her to develop and launch the Network Security Operations Center, a unique internal team within MBC that focuses exclusively on providing state-of-the-art security services to the company's clients. She was also instrumental in creating the effective go-to-market strategy that communicates the threats and dangers of cyber attacks for small businesses. Not surprisingly, this gives her a keen understanding of why SMBs are so important to the entire cybersecurity ecosystem.
What we've seen is that cyber attackers are actually hitting the SMB market because they see them as the most vulnerable market. Let's use the Microsoft tools. Let's migrate to the cloud. There's certain pieces that SMB can do, just like enterprise.
Congratulations, Tammy Nyman, for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Finance, agriculture, oil and energy services, pharmaceutical, and IT services. Impressively, Sharifat Akinawani has worked as a cybersecurity professional in each one of these industries. She is currently the Business Information Security Officer at TD Bank, but her experience in so many other industries has given her a unique perspective.
All of these experiences actually has helped me to grow, to understand that even in cybersecurity, in as much as we want to protect, it's very important to understand the business, right? Each organization, because of the diversity, the different businesses that they have, ranging from the banking to the oil and gas, they had different objectives. And as a cybersecurity professional supporting an organization, you have to understand the business.
Sharifat has a great passion and interest for enabling women in their professional career, and she serves as a member on several boards, including the Advisory Board for Canadian Women in Cybersecurity and the Girls and Women Technological Empowerment Organization. She is a co-founder of Women in Cybersecurity and Technology, and she volunteers her time mentoring young people to launch their career in technology.
More ideas, we need diversity, age-wise, race, ethnic, gender, whichever, we need it to be rich, so that the richness of cybersecurity, the more we have more people in it, the richness, the output and the quality of what we can get as a field of cybersecurity.
Congratulations to Sharifat Akinawani for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. As Avanad's lead for security practice in Canada, Nagar Farjadnia has made the company's security consulting business the leading cybersecurity expert in the Microsoft ecosystem. She delivers the technology capabilities that power Avanad's clients and secure their operations worldwide. In fact, Nagar has tripled the growth of the Avanad security practice in Canada since 2020, and she has helped secure more than 120 clients. Before Avanad, she worked at Rogers, where she spent 5 years migrating major work streams from on-premise to cloud and securing workplace technology. Here's what Nagar thinks companies can do right now to improve their cybersecurity.
The one thing I always, and the first step to succeed in maturing in their cyber journey is to make sure they have an ongoing assessment of their cyber posture. Aligning to what's required from the standards and framework from them, and then a continuous improvement program to make sure that they keep their maturity always up constantly. But an additional step that I've been telling a lot of our customers to do is to ensure that cybersecurity is a part of the digital transformation. Organizations often do a really great job of building an amazing digital transformation strategy and roadmap, but cybersecurity is often either overlooked or brought in very late to those. So having a coherent digital and cyber program is really key to ensure the long-term success for all their initiatives.
Nagar Farjadnia, congratulations for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity. Svetlana Zlobina navigates the new realities of cybersecurity as Vice President of Global IT Risk at Royal Bank of Canada. She leads the bank's first line of global cyber IT risk defense, manages the complexities of global regulatory requirements, and delivers key cybersecurity services to international lines of business. With her vast experience, she has a wealth of understanding about how businesses can successfully balance their goals with cybersecurity practices.
A lot of the time, cybersecurity is not necessarily a showstopper or the roadblocks, as we usually have been seeing. It's enabler. We want to make sure that whatever we build out, whatever the solutions and the applications or capabilities that we introduce into the market, that they're solid. You build it once, you leverage it for the strategic objectives of the business, but you sleep tight that these solutions are secure.
Always adopting cutting-edge trends in technology, she successfully fosters RBC's cyber leadership. And throughout her career, she has always been a mentor and advocate for women in tech and their contributions to the cybersecurity industry.
There is continuous learning, continuous evolution, continuous development, great growth, personal or professional growth opportunities within this space. And, a lot of what we do contribute to the bigger, not only to our internal organization, but our day-to-day lives, the lives of our clients, our friends, our families, in terms of just to be aware of what needs to be done, what the cybersecurity is all about, how to keep ourselves safe.
Congratulations to Svetlana Zlobina for being selected as one of the 2022 top women in cybersecurity.
What incredible women. I've had a great afternoon. Thank you for joining me in supporting this amazing celebration that allows us to recognize the tremendous talent we have coast to coast in Canada. What we've heard from our honorees is that we must all lead by example. We must all help to combat not only the cyber threats we face today, but the impacts brought on from working at home. I hope what you've heard has left you energized about the future and what you've seen in our award winners that you can emulate or apply in your own organizations. Stories from the conference are available at the IT World Canada network of publications, and videos of all the panels and presentations will be available for on-demand viewing on the platform tomorrow. Thank you to the team at IT World Canada that made it all possible. Thank you to our sponsors, Auth0, Octa, VMware, TELUS, Terra Nova Security, and CrowdStrike. I urge you to check out the platform for their messaging and downloadable material. Thank you to our supporters, Women in Communications and Technology, YSERA, the Canadian Women in Security Forum. Please complete the conference evaluation you'll be receiving. It really does help us plan for better events moving forward. Please take a look at the platform below me for our upcoming events, but to highlight a few, the Women in IT Channel Recognition Luncheon, live at the Art Gallery of Ontario on August the 25th. The MapleSec Cybersecurity Conference takes place from October 18th to the 20th. And Analytics Unleashed is slated for November the 17th. Be safe, have a great afternoon, and I hope to see you at a live or a hybrid event very soon.